Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. So if you hear noise over there are teenagers, we don't like that word, but our 14-year-old and 17-year-old are playing a word game together on the iPad.
With the 2-year-old.
Yeah. With the 2-year-old. The 2-year-old's supposed to be going to sleep, but he wants to try to play the word game. But anyway, that's what our older kids do at night. We actually just finished watching a documentary about a guy from, I'm not going to be able to say his name, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the screen.
He's from the Czech Republic, right?
He's from the Czech... Huh? Thomas Roundman. Grauman. That guy?
It's a Czech.
Something like that.
I don't know how to say it.
It's okay.
Okay. So he's from the Czech Republic, and he was saved when Nazi Germany came in. He was one of the last kids put on a train out of Prague.
Number 652 out of 654 that made it out of Prague.
Left from there, yeah. And he was saved, and then he became a Christian later in life. And so we have friends that are missionaries in the Czech Republic, and they had mentioned this video to us, so we watched it. It was very good. So anyway, that goes with what we're saying right now.
Oh, yes. What are we talking about? Why are we here?
We had a question on our YouTube page asking about homeschooling. We have a baby coming. If you haven't been around, we have a baby due in a week and a half. So any
She doesn't
day,
look that big, does she?
baby.
I mean, she looks, to
For
us,
me, it
she
looks
looks
big.
huge, but yeah.
Baby's due in a week and a half, and we've been making videos for our YouTube channel, and we had someone ask us why we homeschool, and with baby coming, wouldn't it be easier to send the kids off to public school or whatever school, not homeschooling. I don't know exactly what she was thinking in her head about.
A lot of things would be easier.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that would be easier. I mean, it would be easier to buy restaurant food all the time and eat it and then not have to cook, but it wouldn't be the healthiest for our bodies.
Nor could we afford it.
Yeah, no, we couldn't afford it. It would be easier to not wash laundry and just buy new clothes every time.
That is true.
Or I have a friend who just did a video.
We'd have to deal with a lot of like disposal issues though.
Yeah, I have a friend who, her name on YouTube is Mama Bear to Many, and she just did the big clothing swap from spring, like winter stuff to summer stuff. And it'd be a lot easier if you just bought a new wardrobe every time and didn't save stuff for the kids. So it'd be a lot of easier stuff.
Just keep on it, yeah.
But
why wash dishes, right?
Just throw them away.
Throw them away. Well, you could do paper plates all the time.
Yeah.
You
No.
could. No,
Anyway,
we're not going
so the person asking was asking about it being easier. So in a way, yes, it would be easier for me to sit home with a newborn baby. I'd probably still have my 2-year-old with me. And my 4-year-old would probably still be home. So I'd have the 3 little ones. But the others, I wouldn't have to worry about their education. So in a way, that would be easier. But there's a lot of things that wouldn't be easier. Because when I come home with this baby, we don't have to wake up at a certain time to get anybody on a school bus or drive them off to school.
No one dictates our schedule, really. I was thinking about the way that schools dictate your schedule for you. This is approximately the time of day you will wake up. You will be out of your house and here at this time, and then you will stay till this time, and I mean, unless we feel like changing it somewhere along the way, I just think we really do have a lot of freedom.
We have friends
as homeschoolers.
Yeah, we have friends that have kids in public school. Various ages, various reasons, circumstances, and all of that stuff. And we have one friend whose child needs extra support at school. And if her teacher is sick, they just tell him that he's not sending his daughter to school that day.
It seems really hard to hold a job.
Yeah. Or we live in Maine. So there are days that snow days are called when nothing's going on outside. And there are days, snow days are not called when people are sliding off the road. I remember as a kid, we had a snow day called once that our superintendent couldn't get to the school building.
Doing a weird thing. Thank you.
Our superintendent couldn't get to the school building, but they still had school that day. So all students were expected to be there, but not the superintendent.
Good enough for everybody but me, right?
So anyway, so we aren't dictated by their schedule. Did you want to be on the video?
I would think so, yes.
We're not dictated by their schedule. Also, on top of all of those things that would make it challenging to have them at school, just schedule-wise, we don't necessarily call ourselves homeschoolers.
I don't like the term.
Yeah, he's the one who has the problem with
I
it.
don't like the term.
But we home educate. Educate our children home, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
A lot of our education doesn't actually happen at home.
I
It
call it
happens other
parenting.
places. But we aren't, how we homeschool, we don't have a set schedule of we are sitting down from 8 to 2 with our books out at the table, and that's when learning happens.
I think that's what I'm saying, why I don't like it. Like, school to me has a very definitive, you go to a building, a time clock on the wall hits, and that's when you magically begin to learn.
That.
That.
And then it has to cease before you hit the clock hits.
Then the bell
next
goes
thing.
off.
And then the bell goes off, and you're like, and then you get used to it, you get programmed, and it doesn't bother you anymore. But bells still bother me.
Bells bother
Just saying.
Definitely. So we don't fit into the normal box of what a lot of people think of. People who have been involved in the public school or even like a Christian school that want to homeschool their children, a lot of them, I think, feel that homeschooling is doing that same style of learning and schedule within your house.
But you're free to do that in
Yeah.
your family. If you want, if that works best for you, do it.
But most of the people I know who homeschool do not do that. And still their children get a very good education. So I'm not saying it's wrong to...
Sorry, my arm is really not in good shape.
Do you want me to hold it?
No, I get it.
I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, to have...
Where you going?
I mean, I know some people who use
Over
workbooks,
here.
for all their subjects, and they have a very rigid schedule. Sorry, I'm trying to move something. It's going to be loud. Okay. They have a very rigid schedule of when they do their schoolwork, and that's totally fine. But for our family, that schedule doesn't work. We have a few
You don't
different
want to be here
reasons
anymore. Okay.
why that schedule doesn't work. One is the age of children we have. If we had a bunch of children that were close to the same ages, like the 14 and 17-year-old, and even our 9-year-old daughter would work fine in a schedule where they sit down and do schoolwork at a certain time.
Dive off.
The three of them would all be fine with that. But because we also have what's going to be a newborn, a 2.5-year-old, a 4-year-old, that are just not in regular schooling yet. I do school activities with them, but they're definitely not doing a full day's worth of school. That throws a kink in our schedule. And then also I have a 6-year-old who is very good at school. He enjoys school, but he's a little boy and he does not sit still.
No.
So we,
But he can read at like a 5th
Oh,
grade
yes.
level.
No.
he does.
You act like sitting at a desk somehow makes you more capable of doing intellectual pursuits.
Right.
Oh,
he-
that.
yeah,
I
that.
got that.
He does school very well. But if I were to say we're going to sit down this table and sit still for 2 hours to do school, that would not work because he's a little boy, and little boys need time to run around and do their stuff. Some little girls need time to run around and do their stuff too. We've had some of those along the way.
Yeah.
And also we have an 11-year-old who has cerebral palsy and epilepsy and does not view the world the rest of the way that other people do.
If you'd like to learn about right hemisphere brain injuries and typical effects of right hemisphere brain injuries, I would love to share an article with you.
But he definitely needs to be schooled differently than what works on a normal schedule. If he was in public school, he would need a one-on-one because he has seizures on a consistent enough basis that he would need just someone to be with him for that. But also he, like, reading for him is a challenge. It really stretches his brain, and our reading lessons have to be very short. So if you had a 45-minute reading class, he'd be available for about 10 minutes of that.
Right. And he'd
then
either
he'd
check
be
out
done.
or have seizures.
Yeah.
Like, you
Extra
can
reading-
overtax this kid. It's not a good thing.
Extra reading for him can cause seizures.
Yeah.
So we can't do what I do with my other ones. He is actually, we have a book that goes through multiple grades for learning reading. I'm not going to get into exactly how we do school for everything right now, but it goes through multiple grades learning reading. Him and the 6-year-old both were working through the book at the same time, and the 6-year-old finished the book first because he's a very motivated learner. He's very bright and like good at the work, and he could do a full lesson in a day, where I had to take Josiah, who is 11, and break all the lessons into half lessons. So the book took him twice as long as it took his little brother, because his little brother could even sometimes do a second lesson in a day because he wanted to, and Josiah's brain just couldn't handle it. And there were different things we had to do because Josiah sees that, you know, his brother's learning reading faster than him and all of that stuff. And so we have to do different things to make sure that Josiah sees where he has strengths, because you don't want your kid to just feel like,
Hey, would this work better?
I don't
Do you
know.
look more in the foreground there?
I don't know.
Let's try that. Sorry, I think you're doing most of the talking, and I feel like I look like a really tall person.
Well, you are a really tall
But
person.
we're sitting down. I shouldn't look that tall sitting down. I think they want to hear you anyway.
So anyway, so it's just, we had to change it up for our son, and he's doing well with reading, and he's right on pace of where he needs to be.
Yep.
But it looks different than if he were an 11-year-old in a classroom with a teacher where they want everyone to keep up at the same pace. It just wouldn't work for him. So anyway, home education. I don't think that we would actually call ourselves unschoolers, although I think we do a lot of unschooling.
Yes.
But it depends on how people define their terms. So
It's kind of like, are we Baptist or are we not Baptist? It depends on which
What
flavor of Baptist you're talking about.
and what exactly you're talking about.
Right.
So I don't have a real, we're home educators who I would say, no,
Do you
can I
want to be
continue?
or not?
We're home educators, and I would say that we do child-directed learning. That's what I call what we do, because we go a lot by what the child is interested in and what the state requirements are for us.
Right.
So whatever you hear me saying on our videos, hold on. What you hear us saying on our videos, we are going by the state of Maine guidelines. And so if you homeschool in another state, you have to check your own state guidelines to make sure you're following whatever your state says.
certainly,
So don't just say, oh, well, I followed this lady on Facebook and she said this, because each state is different.
Don't blame us, please.
Our daughter, who's 20, who's about to have her first baby,
She's
went
gonna
to
be 21 like tomorrow.
She's
day
not.
after tomorrow.
She's not 21 yet.
She's very close to 21.
No, she's not.
You.
So anyway, it's 2 days from now. But anyway, she went to a homeschool conference this weekend with her husband because she's planning on homeschooling. Baby hasn't been born yet, so she got a little while. But in Tennessee, you have to go through an umbrella school, or it's one of the easiest ways to homeschool is to go through an umbrella school, where we don't need to do that in Maine. So every state is different. We enjoy the state of Maine's homeschool laws that they have right now because we are told what subjects we need to cover, how many days we need to do school, but we're not told how to teach those subjects.
Right.
And I don't have to present any curriculum
Careful.
to, some people have to present curriculum to their state before the homeschool year starts. Here in Maine, we have to be evaluated by a certified Maine teacher. And so I used to, my dad used to be a certified teacher.
Yeah.
And so he used to do mine and a couple of my friends. But my dad passed away 10 years ago. And
June
so
27th will be 10 years.
yeah, since then, we've been using another lady, and she's been very helpful. Hey, you gotta keep your head up.
You're going to keep your head out or we're going to make a move.
She's been very helpful in helping us make sure that we're going by all the state standards and doing all the things we need. And she actually has extra interest in special needs and is able to help us with Josiah's things to make sure that he's on par for where he needs to be, even if it doesn't look like a normal state, like normal grade level.
Yeah, he's a very unique case. Yeah.
But in the state of Maine, I don't have to have my children in a specific grade. So I don't have to say, okay, so Uriah's the 6-year-old. I do not have to say Uriah is doing first grade work. I have to tell the state that he's 6 years old, and I have to teach him all the subjects.
Right.
But if
And a
he's
certain
doing
amount of days per year for us.
But if he's doing first grade language art type things, but he's able to do third grade math, we can do third grade math and not be stopped in any way by needing to keep him within a classroom
Our
setting.
kids
of first
generally a school would hold them back. Like any
Yes.
school that I went to small private schools, even Christian schools, and in most cases, you would either be held back because you need to slow down for the rest of the class, or like in my case, I would excel through the ACE system. You would excel through 3 years worth of school. So it was kind of like skipping a grade, but not really, because you're still considered a
Yeah. So
third
it's
grade or
not
whatever it
that
was.
we
Yeah.
have like super.
We're just allowed to do. We can pursue anything we want.
Yeah. And it's not that
Rich
our
kid.
children are super bright, but when you're in school, they would say, okay, so you read at a first grade level. And even though you know math at a higher level, we're keeping you in first grade because that's your lowest. Like, we're not going to let you excel in the other things because this is where you need to stay. Does that make sense?
Right. Usually it's junior high or high school before you're allowed to do electives of different
Right.
stages.
So for our kids, I can't think of any of our kids that are on the same grade level for every subject that we do.
No.
Because they all have different needs, and some people really like reading, and most of our
Okay,
kids
that's
really like
everybody
reading.
in the house.
Everyone in our house really likes reading, but some really excel at reading.
Yeah.
And so they are way ahead of what they would be in school. But you're held to a certain standard in school. Like, I remember when I was
We
in
both
school,
were held that way.
they would give you a reading list of you may pick a book off this list to read.
Yep.
Well, I've read those types of books 3 years ago, so I'll read it because that's what's required of me. But then I have other kids who are not super math minded. So we do math, and they progress through math, but I don't have to keep them at this reading level because this is where they are in math. I can
Right.
let them go up here to reading, and I can let them go up here to science because I have some kids who are very interested in science. I have other kids who are very interested in history, and I don't have to keep them on the
There.
sorry. I don't have to keep them on the same curriculum. So that's something I really like about homeschooling. And like I said, child-directed learning. So Samuel, the 14-year-old, is very interested in history. He would read anything history-based, whatever. Abigail, who's 9, enjoys history, but she wants to be reading stories about the pioneers.
Right.
She wants to be reading stories about the actual families that lived during that time, not the war events that happened.
Right.
She doesn't want to like military history.
She's about the relationships and the people. He's about the facts and the. Oh, that sounds. We won't get into that today.
So anyway, yes, while things would be easier with a newborn at home to not home educate, it would be harder in a lot of ways because of how our family runs.
Yeah.
But then,
I can't
on top
imagine
of all of that,
any of them not being here. Like, I don't want to take one away, let alone 4, 5.
But then on top of all of that, we also don't homeschool right after a baby. So
No.
how our homeschool looks varies throughout the year and throughout the seasons. And so we do a lot more book work in the winter when we're stuck inside.
We're indoors. There's only so many ways to entertain children, and you might as well make it educational and fun at the same time. So.
But today, the kids got to go out on a nature walk with Daddy and find flowers and trees and all kinds of things that they got to talk about on the walk they were on while I was in a doctor's appointment.
Naomi was the adult present.
Naomi and Daddy took them on a walk on a very well manicured trail where nobody was going to be injured.
Yep.
So they did that while I had my midwife appointment. Samuel was able to learn lawn care and mowed the lawn and took care of the tractor or whatever he did. I don't know. I wasn't here. We had a couple of appointments today. I was at appointments while these things were happening.
Yeah.
Not all day, but
He does. He's going to be in charge of all of the maintenance, working like oil changes and blade changes and all of that kind of stuff. He's still learning it now, but like this year he will be taking that over completely because I can't do it anymore. And I want him to learn it. It's good for him to learn. He enjoys it.
A couple weeks ago, there were some raised flower beds made around a couple trees that we have that the 6 and 9-year-old were very involved in working on those.
Yep.
Other people were involved, but they were the ones working on those really hard.
Yep.
And today they got to plant flowers in those. We got seeds. They got to plant flowers. The 17-year-old today worked on making a treat for our Bible study class tomorrow. That she likes to work in the kitchen, and so that
I
was the
need a
thing she got
taste
to.
test tonight, if that would be possible.
It was no bake cookies, right?
Yeah, she made no bake cookies. You gotta have one.
She can make
5.
more than just no bake cookies, but that was the choice of what she made tonight.
Brownies, cake, bread.
So Naomi also made supper for the family tonight. She's very adept in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I helped with supper. She doesn't do all the work. Don't think that we have the kids doing all the work, but she finished supper for us because I went and put my feet up at the end. But then we get all the kids
But they're
involved.
capable children that can take over if they need to.
Yes.
Like in times of if we're having a baby or something.
But then we get everybody involved. Here comes Gideon again with Elisha baby.
Elisha baby.
So we are having baby Elisha. And we bought this little doll at the store the other day. And they've called him Elisha baby. Right?
No.
Yeah. But I mean, we get the kids involved in all the different aspects of what we're doing. Because
Like baby
tonight
care.
Gideon helped in the kitchen by taking pieces of celery that I had already cut into crescents, right?
Yeah.
And did you cut them up? He got a butter knife and he helped cut celery, right? Yeah, you did a good job.
I think everybody in the family likes to cook too.
Yeah.
You did a good job. Yeah,
Like
I did a good job.
How many of us can fit in the kitchen at once is the hard part.
Yeah. Okay. The kids also learned
Sorry, Sam's trying
about.
to say something.
Oh, sorry. What did you?
What'd you say, Simon?
Gideon, what he said was he ate the celery.
Oh, he ate the celery.
Yes.
Yes, he was allowed to eat it.
Yep.
I wasn't so sure how clean his hands were. He, I think, is teething, so we've had a lot of hands and mouth and drool. So when it's like that, yeah. Another thing the kids got to do today. So this was all just without any books out.
Oh, there were books out, but not like school books.
Not workbooks. Baby, you were. Sorry. I'm at that point in pregnancy where I have a bunch of contractions. And then the two babies push against each other. This guy on the outside and the other one on the inside.
Naomi, do you have anything on there that could entertain him, please?
So then,
He's climbing on Mama.
yeah,
I can't hold this thing anymore. Sorry.
I'll hold it.
I'm just having a hard time.
Okay, I'm going to hold. There, we look like ogres. Okay. So anyway, other things that happened today that didn't have to do with actual, like, sit down with a workbook. We had children who helped with laundry and folding and putting all that stuff away. So personal health care, like you would take a health class when you're in public school and you need to learn how to take care of yourself. That's a important thing. We had Bible time. Up a little bit. Okay.
I don't care if I'm in it.
We had Bible time today, which was like an hour. She got like a funny little camera lens on the thing, and he's
The old photo
looking at
booth
himself.
on the iPad. It's a really old iPad somebody gave us, but the photo booth app is fun to entertain kids.
So we did Bible today. So our church has been doing a study through Philippians, and it actually ends tomorrow. So we had to do the last of our lessons for that. So we were talking about God giving us, like, God through people giving us gifts and how we are blessed through people, which our church just blessed us with gifts at a baby shower the other day. But how even if it's not something that we need, it's something that we can see God's blessing in. And we just had a really good talk. So that was we did that for over an hour this morning. And then everyone, so Josiah, because of his seizures, he's 11 and he's a little boy and he wants to be out playing and doing all of that stuff. And sometimes we need to force him to lay down for a little bit. Did he actually nap today? Or did he just lay down?
No, he laid there while we watched Smarter Every Day, maybe.
Yes. So they watched,
What's Destin? Talk about
we watched documentaries.
how lawnmower blades work and how they suction up the grass to cut it and that kind of thing. Like, kids learn science by being entertained too.
Yeah. So
And he was mowing the lawn,
So we do a lot of, when we're watching something as a family, we make sure that it's something that's, I mean, not that we never watch anything for entertainment, but a lot of times we watch things that are something that will be teaching us something. And so the kids did that with Daddy for a little bit today because we needed to have a forced rest time.
If
for a couple
anybody
kids.
makes learning fun, it's Destin Sandlin on the YouTube channel Smarter Every Day.
Yeah.
Totally.
I thought you guys were going to watch the one about weed eaters and how they...
We did actually watch one of those about how they interacted with fences and things like that.
Yeah.
But he has actually multiple videos of the different styles and shapes of the weed eater cord and why it's called weed eater and not weed whacker. I always called it a weed whacker. Who knows? Anyhow, Smarter Every Day. Go watch.
So anyway, I'm trying to think. There were probably other things that we learned. Well, today they got to learn more about baby.
And how to entertain a 2-year-old.
It does look kind of fun.
Sorry.
Swirls.
So they also got to learn more about baby because at our office, we can't take them in right now, but we had to go for an ultrasound today. And because baby was not cooperating as well as they wanted him to, I know he's moving fine, but he wasn't moving at the ultrasound. We talked more about what babies need and how they move and the things that we need to watch for as a pregnant woman to make sure you're healthy and all of those things. So
As we educate our children about pregnancy and, fetal development and all of that kind of stuff. Like, whatever's going on in our lives, we study it and enjoy it and learn about it. Like, babies are awesome and fun and cool, but they're also interesting scientifically.
yes. So there's lots of different things that were learned today that weren't through a workbook. And so we do workbooks. The kids have math books. If you watched our master book unveiling thing the other day, we opened a box of new school books and they were excited about the math books and the science books that we bought. But it doesn't all have to be done while sitting down. So after baby, we're kind of in this after baby stage as far as homeschooling goes right now because, waiting for a baby.
After baby really soon.
Yeah, it's going to be after baby really soon. So we're taking advantage of the days we can that are nice and we're going outside. But a lot of that stuff that I mentioned today happened outside too. And then we have, tomorrow we have an art and craft project we're going to do because we have some thank you cards to make for
From the baby shower.
baby showers. We're not going to take pictures.
I'll explain that later.
So anyway, we have an art and craft project we're going to do because of the weather tomorrow. And we wanted to finish our school year before baby came so that I can talk to the teacher who's going to review it, and I don't have to try to figure out how to finish up days. Because in Maine, we have to teach, I forget if it's 180 or 175, but I did more than those. But I had to finish up that many before we're qualified to finish for the year. But we also, we went to the library the other day, if you saw on our videos. I'm going to turn the camera. Okay. Whoa. Now you're going to just see me. This is hard to do. Okay. Can you see me? Can you not see me? Okay. You can do whatever you need to do. Okay. So, we went, if you've watched our videos, we went to the library the other day. We picked out a whole lot of books. A lot of those books were for kids who actually can read and are going to be reading those books to themselves. So there's school right there. A lot of the other books are for people who can't read to be read to by other people to keep them entertained while we're gone with the kids. But then the third bag of books that I got, see, you can play over there. The third bag of books that I got is for after I have baby, because I'm going to be sitting a lot, snuggling baby in the living room, and I'm going to be I got books that are a good jumping off point for talking about different things with the kids. So I got a bunch of books about seeds and how plants grow and how the seeds get to different places, through animals carrying them and stuff like that. Different things that we can have jumping off points to have discussions, but it's going to be teaching them, but they're not going to be sitting still working on a workbook page, if that makes sense. So recently we read a book about Antarctica, and one day while we were reading the book out loud, it was definitely a later teen adult book. So it had big words. We had to learn new vocabulary and everything. But one day we looked up a picture of an elephant seal, and the kids all drew elephant seals while we read the book. We have a book we're reading right now, and it's about two sisters who were hidden in a family's house during Nazi Germany coming in, and these two girls were Jewish and they had to hide with another family. So we read a lot of books like that as read alouds to entertain, like as our form of entertainment and teaching of the children. We also every day practice math facts at the lunch table. We practice geography at the breakfast table, and we learn about hymns or music at the dinner table. So all of those are ways that we integrate school into our everyday life. So doing school with a newborn, a lot of the things are already part of our daily life, or things that we use, I have hiccups, to teach the kids on a daily basis. So yes, to answer the question, it would be easier in some ways if some of the children were gone during the day and I only had a couple kids to watch. But the older children help with the younger children, just in the fact that they're here and I can say, hey, could you help that one get a drink of water? Not that they're doing the parenting, but just extra sets of hands. Also, the kids learning how to take care of a house, how to take care of each other, how to speak nicely to each other, how different biblical principles apply to different situations that happen in life. How when we see something on the news, we can say, here biblically is how this all is happening, and that, God is sovereign over all of this. All of those are things that we can teach on a regular basis because the kids are here. I can't imagine a day without having my kids home with me, because we do so much learning as a family together. So that was a long answer to that question, but it was something I couldn't answer in just the comment section. So if you have more questions about homeschooling, maybe after baby and we have more time, I can answer things more in depth of how we teach different subjects or teach different ages or whatever. But that was just kind of an overview that for our family, life revolves around learning. And if we need to learn something, we can YouTube it. We can get a book. We can ask somebody who knows. But we do it kind of as a family, or as the people who need to know that topic. Like if Naomi needed to know something, I wouldn't necessarily make the 2-year-old sit down and learn it too. But learning it in a way that they can walk out of this world into real life and survive. Our oldest... Thrive. Sorry, not to survive. Our oldest daughter is 20. You will be seeing her on videos. She'll be 21 soon. You'll probably see her on videos here in the next couple weeks because they're coming to visit. And she has now been out of our house for almost a year. Just in a couple days, it'll be almost a year. And she is able to budget for her family. Like, it's her and her husband right now. She has a baby in the womb. She's able to budget for her family. She's able to cook for her family. She's able to clean for her family. She's written 3 books since she graduated high school, which was homeschooling. And she is a blessing and asset. She's a blessing and asset to her community and to the church and her family that she lives near down there. She's an asset to us too, but she lives far away. You can come in, Josiah. Daddy. So she's, oh, you can do that. She is a thriving member of the community. You can leave it open, no one will come. And there was nothing that, she knows how to learn. So she wanted to learn new things, like get a gun. What's it called?
Concealed carry permit, whatever it is.
Concealed carry permit or whatever. She had to go to class, had to do something. I don't know. She knew how to learn to go do that stuff. I didn't have to teach her every aspect of everything she would ever encounter in life, but I had to teach her how to learn and to know what things she was interested in learning so that she could pursue those things. And I think that the way we homeschool, instead of fitting her and all her siblings into a box of this is what schooling looks like, is we are going to teach you how to learn so that you can walk into the future and learn the things you want to know and know the basics so that you can learn. Like basic math and basic reading are important so that you can actually learn those things. Our 17-year-old is still home. There's no reason that we want her to leave or anything like that.
You're not going
But when God brings along the right spouse for her or whatever, I feel like there's nothing I need to teach her specifically for her to feel prepared for the world. Like, I feel if she needed to, she could walk out of our house right now and she could carry on with life and be able to handle things on her own. So, right? Yeah, she says so too. But I think that there's this stigma that kids don't learn. Kids who aren't pursuing a specific career that then go on to college are not going to be beneficial to society. And I don't feel that that is right. I think that
kids go to college that aren't beneficial to society.
that's very true.
Good point.
If
Have you been watching the news?
If you've been watching the news and all the student protests that are going on campus and making it so that the people that are there for the real learning can't learn, that's a problem. But I think that teaching them to learn so that they can go on and aspire and be productive in anything that they choose to do is much better than fitting them into a box and make sure that they get through the 11th grade curriculum or 6th grade curriculum or whatever it is. Are they growing in a way that is glorifying to God if they're a Christian? Or as parents, are we teaching them the basics of what it is to be a Christian who would glorify God, if that's what God has them do in the future? So a lot of our homeschooling revolves around the Bible and learning Bible verses and those types of things. We teach math, we teach reading. Don't worry, those things all happen too. But the most important thing, and logic, which isn't taught very often. But the most important thing is for our kids to understand who God is and why our relationship with him is important in our daily life, so that they can, in the future, become a Christian if that's what God has for them. That's a good way of saying it. Like, I feel like I'm not saying that very well, but they're going to benefit.
Checked out a while ago.
They're going to benefit from all those Bible verses and historical things and things that you're teaching them from the Bible too, because God's word never returns void. So
That's a good way to put it.
there we go. There we go. So anyway, that was a long answer. I need to go to bed. And I need to send my little ones to bed.
I already went to bed.
These ones to bed. So we will see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God.
Bye.